who spends according to his substance and on the right objects, and he who exceeds is prodigal. Prodigals matter here because, historically, they have kept lenders in business. They still do. The ethics surrounding credit and debit, or debt for our purposes, find expression in the oldest written records, those of the Greeks and the Hebrews. But the real history predates that, as the Mesopotamians kept records of borrowing and lending on stone tablets. And yet, even when the terms of a loan were literally written in stone, people sought to evade them, most typically prodigals, like the aforementioned Ms. Griffiths-Evans. Fortunately for Griffiths-Evans, she has the sympathetic David Kopel of MSN Money to chronicle her tale, not the judgmental Dante Alighieri. As Kopel tells it, in 2004, Griffiths-Evans contracted to buy a $470,000 home in Boston's Dorchester section with no down payment. She claims to have been looking for an apartment, but those that suited her fancy cost about $5,000 to $6,000 a month. At that time, the amount was more than she could afford. Landlords, after all, demand rent. Lenders can be more flexible. Ambitious beyond her means, Griffiths-Evans heeded their siren song. The first question the obliging Kopel asks her in a recorded interview is, "Was your loan a predatory loan?" Griffiths-Evans answers without hesitation. It definitely was. To swing the deal, she took out a fairly standard 8.5% loan on 80% of the purchase price. Lacking the traditional 20% down payment, she took out a second loan at a whopping 12.5%. Her combined monthly payment ran roughly $3,500 a month to begin, increasing as the loan adjusted. Historically, lenders would not have allowed that size of a payment for anyone making less than about $200,000 a year, presumably more than Griffiths-Evans earned as a part-time teacher. But lenders in the first years of this new century were encouraged to accommodate people like Griffiths-Evans. She got the money. Still, she claims her lender told her that she could soon refinance into a lower-cost, fixed-rate mortgage. That is where it became predatory, she reassures herself and Kopel. There is nothing unique about Griffiths-Evans. 1 million Americans just like her have unwittingly conspired to wreck the world's economy. Writing 23 centuries ago, Aristotle sniffed out their ambitions. They become apt to take because they wish to spend, and cannot do this easily, for their possessions soon run short. Thus, they are forced to provide means from some other source. At the same time, because they care nothing for honor, they take recklessly and from any source. What changed over time, as shall be seen, was the nation's willingness to oblige its prodigals. To fix her innocence, Kopel asks Griffiths-Evans no questions about her elusive husband, her income, her seeming inability to save money, her job prospects, the alleged cost of rental housing, or any potential plans she might have had to surf the rising tide of real estate prices and flip the house for a profit, plans possibly swallowed in the subprime morass. Like most in the media, Kopel thinks less harshly of prodigals than those who enable them. In this comprehensive article, the reader hears not a word from Griffiths-Evans lenders or any other lenders. They remain as faceless and generic as the Jewish money changers in Radford's Venice. Kopel gives the final word to one of the predatory lenders' presumed prey. "If you're given fraudulent loans," says still another bamboozled woman, "someone needs to go to jail. Someone needs to be held accountable." Unlike Dante, Kopel does not seem to think of prodigals as sinners, preferring instead to think of them as they think of themselves, as victims. Indeed, it could be argued that the real divide in America today is not between left and right, but between those who would sympathize with Griffiths-Evans and those who would not. The latter we will call traditionalists, the former, social Puritans, shorthand for those secular moralists who confuse their local banker with the devil and Wall Street with hell. Kopel has no sympathy at all for lenders and no apparent interest in their motivation, and yet, as offended as he seems to be by predatory lending,